So you would want to ban
Yeah.
the unjabbed from being able to access health services?
No, I'm saying you've got to make that decision yourself. It's your choice. If you decide that you don't want a vaccine or a booster, then you can decide not to go to hospital however ill you get. And that way, that is your right.
So you would leave the unjabbed at home to die if they had a heart attack, if they suffered from a stroke?
That's their choice.
Breaking right now, the UK has changed this afternoon, with state-sanctioned suicide set to be made legal after both Slippery Starmer and Rachel Thieves backed the assisted dying legislation which passed Parliament narrowly. Now, this issue has divided all parties, actually. So while Robert Jenrick of the Conservatives put up a very strong moral argument, some were very surprised to see Reform UK MPs like Lee Anderson, Richard Tice, and Rupert Lowe vote in favour. Now, I have some strong views about the fact that this entire vote was inspired by Esther Rantzen. I'll show you why in just a moment. But first, Ben Habib, I know that you are very much against the concept of assisted dying. How dangerous do you think this decision is today?
I think it's deeply dangerous. I don't think it matters what checks and balances are ostensibly in the bill, which will become the act, and it looks like it's going to become an act. Because as we all know, once you empower the state uses that power, often for malign interests. And any individual, and myself included, that wishes to pare back the interference of the state in our lives, that recognizes, for example, Dan, that we have a two-tier criminal justice system. If you're about to interview a lady who was put in jail for something she said,
Cameron Bell,
that for me is abhorrent. And if you have a state that is capable, as Starmer did, of directing the criminal justice system to jail people for what they said, what do you think the state will eventually be doing with the power to being able to kill people?
I know, it's terrifying. And I find, look, I know Esther Rantzen. I've known Esther Rantzen for years. I have no problem with Esther Rantzen personally. Absolutely horrific that she is currently battling this potential life-ending cancer. However, Ben, I do have issues that morally she's been put on a pedestal over this issue, because during the COVID pandemic, Esther Rantzen, and she actually did this on my former show on GB News, but Esther Rantzen made it clear that she believed if people refused to be vaccinated against COVID, that they should not be treated by the NHS, that they should be left to die. And this is all part of this very slippery moral slope where we are heading with this legislation. But just a reminder, and as I say, I don't say this with any form of ill will towards Esther, but I do think it's important just to see how people who are in support of this bill plan to weaponize the NHS. Watch this.
People.
So you would want to ban the unjabbed from being able to access health services?
No, I'm saying you've got to make that decision yourself. It's your choice. If you decide that you don't want a vaccine or a booster, then you can decide not to go to hospital however ill you get. And that way, that is your right.
So you would leave the unjabbed at home to die if they had a heart attack, if they suffered from a stroke?
That's their choice. If they're unjabbed, if they take the decision they're not going to use the medical evidence, follow the science, as we say, recognize, because what the boosters do is not only protect you, they protect other people, because you transmit the infection far less.
Yeah. Although you can still transmit even if you are triple jab.
Ben Habib, do you see what I mean? Do you see what I mean?
I do completely. I completely see what you mean. I mean, there's a huge contradiction there, isn't there? People can die at home just because they're unjabbed. And, we should be allowing people to make decisions to die on their own. But I think there's a malignancy in our the received political wisdom. And the malignancy is the promotion of the individual and the rights of the individual to the detriment of the nation state, the majority, and essentially democracy. And it works a bit like this. So the reason we all had to lock down was because every individual's life had to be protected. And it didn't matter that the majority would otherwise have been fine. The majority had to take the knee to every individual life. And it was through that prism that people like Esther Rantzen, who are arch liberals, were making the argument that you either get jabbed or, die at home on your own. Lockdowns were fine because the individual needed to be protected. Jabs were required because the individual needed to be protected. What was sensible and correct for the majority was irrelevant. And in order to promote that, they would also shut down free speech. Then you come to the assisted dying thing, and it's the same issue. The argument essentially is that you as an individual have the right to kill yourself if you want to. You should have that right. And so Esther Rantzen will make that case, and there is joined up thinking, at least, because she's consistent in her flawed ideology. She's consistently flawed. But of course, when you remove the right, when you give the state the right, when you give the state the right to put people down, that is very detrimental to the majority of the people in this country who won't face these predicaments as they get up. The majority of people don't get to a position where they would just love to be put down. These are very rare incidental cases. And we do have a system for it, palliative care, which could be improved. And we have do not resuscitate and so on. And so what Esther Rantzen is doing is that extreme form of liberalism, which is dictating the agenda. And we need to pare back the state, which forces this agenda on us because it thinks it must do whatever is required to protect and promote the individual, and the interests and the rights of the majority need to be shut down. And so that's another reason why, ideologically, if you're a Democrat, you should be against the assisted dying bill.
But first, we've been told our whole lives that wrinkle creams were the easiest way to look younger. But now one doctor says that's nothing but old news. According to Dr. John Lake, the world-renowned Beverly Hills beauty expert, most wrinkle fixes on the market are nothing but glorified moisturizers. He says they hardly make a dent on your appearance, and some can even be harmful to your skin. Recently, Dr. Lake has focused his attention away from mainstream cosmetic practices. Why? So he can pursue a revolutionary anti-aging breakthrough, one that some experts say could empty the wallets of the cosmetic industry. It's almost like Photoshop for your face. You may even be mad after seeing how easy it is to visibly erase your wrinkles from view, Lake told reporters. His personal clients have dubbed his new do-it-yourself technique the age rewinder method because it can take years or even decades off your appearance in under 2 minutes. In light of this amazing breakthrough, Dr. Lake has released a step-by-step video to the public, free and uninterrupted, where he outlines exactly how to use this simple solution from home. If this helps even one person look younger or feel more confident, I'll be thrilled knowing I helped, Dr. Lake commented. The video has since gone viral. At first, it was shared by users on Facebook, but since then, it's racked up over 2.3 million views and counting. So far, the comments and feedback have been outstanding, with thousands of women reporting they look decades younger. So one viewer commented, "Best results of anything I've used. I can't believe how well this works. I'll never stop using this. I don't understand how it works, but the results are great. Thank you." So you can find out much more about this yourself right now. Go to bhmd1.com/outspoken, or you can just click on the link in the description box below or the show notes below this video. So let me repeat the address, bhmd1.com/outspoken. Now, there is one thing Dr. Lake asks from his viewers. If watching this video helps you look and feel younger than you have in years, then please share this video with your friends and loved ones. Together, we have the power to help as many women reclaim a youthful look as possible. So, go watch the video at www.bhmd1.com/outspoken, or just click on the link in the description box below. I wanted to ask you too about Rupert Lowe, the Reform UK MP. I've actually been such a big fan of Rupert since he's entered Parliament. He's done lots of incredible things. He's donating his salary to charity every month, but he's copped a lot of flack for his decision to vote in this legislation, which, remember, was a conscience vote based on some sort of straw poll. in his Great Yarmouth constituency. So I want to share what he posted justifying this ban. He said, "Assisted dying, I have my own views, of course, but on such an emotive issue, I thought it was right to consult my constituents. I have been running a local, quote, referendum on whether the people of Great Yarmouth supported assisted dying or not. The poll closed last night, and the results are as follows. 1,181 constituents participated. Their eligibility to vote as a Great Yarmouth resident was verified. 892 voted in favour of assisted dying. 289 voted against assisted dying. My constituents have spoken, and that is how I will vote tomorrow." Ben, the right way of doing things?
Oh, I mean, I understand why Rupert may have done what he did, because he obviously didn't feel clear in his own mind of where the vote should be. So he decided to consult his constituents. By the way, he's been a fantastic constituency
Absolutely,
MP.
he has.
He's so brilliant. He's always, representing his constituents' case. And I think Rupert's a first-class individual, but he left the decision to his constituency to decide. And as we know, constituencies, I don't know the number of people in his, but vary from 70 to 80,000. And I would just say that I think 1,000 out of 70 to 80,000 is a very small sample of the constituency. So I'm not sure I would have placed much emphasis on the 1,000 who did vote, the results of that vote. I mean, I feel quite strongly against the assisted. I feel very strongly against the assisted dying bill, because we have a two-tier criminal justice system. How can you trust the state in matters of life or death when you can't trust them whether or not to lock you up for a tweet? And on that basis alone, I would have voted against it. So if I'd had the ability to counsel Rupert, I would have said, Rupert, ignore. I wouldn't do a poll with your constituents. I would go with you're their representative, and this is how I do it.
Which is how it's meant to work.
Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source, and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.